year. I really hope I didn't forget to vaccinate him for tetanus.
Tetanus is different from other vaccine-preventable diseases because it does not spread from person to person. The bacteria are usually found in soil, dust, and manure and enter the body through breaks in the skin, usually cuts or puncture wounds caused by contaminated objects. Today, tetanus is uncommon in the United States with an average of 30 reported cases each year. Nearly all cases of tetanus are among people who have never received a tetanus vaccine or adults who don't stay up to date on their 10-year booster shots.
Hi, I'm Melissa Pfeffer, and I'm the district nurse at the Olympia School District. We are a 2,000 student, 4-building school, and we have pre-K through seniors here. And today I'm going to talk about tetanus, which is caused by the bacterium Clostridium tetani. And it's basically when something dirty gets into your system, and then they used to call it lockjaw. So your muscles would get contracted. The most important thing is the vaccination. I also work at urgent care at Pekin, and we get a lot of people that come in and cut themselves with metal, and we always make sure that they've had a tetanus. The Tdap is tetanus, diphtheria, and excellular pertussis, which will protect you against whooping cough and diphtheria too. And diphtheria is the disease where you get the thick lining in the back of your throat. We're required for 6th graders to get a Tdap. Now, I also work urgent care, and you can get a Tdap up to the age of 65, and you can get one of those every 10 years. But the doctors, the CDC and doctors also recommend that if you have a dirty stick with something that is the metal that has been in a questionable source, that you also, you get that every 5 years instead of every 10 years. The other one is a DTaP, and the other one is a TD without the pertussis in it. So to enter into preschool, you need 3 doses of the DTaP by 1 year of age, and they must be given 4 weeks apart, no sooner than that. And then to enter kindergarten, you need 4 or more doses of the DTaP, and you get those 4 weeks apart, and then your booster must be given 6 months later. So that's 4 doses total, and the last one given after 4 years of age. And then they'll be required to get a Tdap at 6th grade, which is around 11 years old. And then the Tdap will carry you for 10 years unless you get stuck by something dirty, and then it should be every 5 years at that point.
Clostridium tetani is the bacteria responsible for the often fatal disease tetanus. The word tetanus comes from the Greek word tetanos, which means to stretch. Tetanus is characterized by rigidity and convulsive spasms of skeletal muscle. It wasn't until 1884 that the cause of the disease was discovered by Carl and Raton. In 1889, Kitasato, one of Cook's pupils, isolated the organism and showed that it produced disease when injected into animals. Spores of C. tetani are everywhere and are found in soil, dust, animal intestines, and animal feces, including humans. Its occurrence is worldwide, but it most commonly is found in dense populated regions in hot, damp climates with soil rich in organic matter. Transmission is primarily by contaminated wounds. The typical example is stepping on a rusty nail. Tetanus is not contagious from person to person, but it is infectious as acquired through environmental exposure. Only vaccine-preventable disease that is infectious but not contagious. C. tetani is an anaerobic gram-positive bacillus that forms spores. The bacteria have been described to look like a drumstick, racket, or club. The organism is sensitive to heat and cannot survive in the presence of oxygen. However, the spores are very resistant to heat and usual antiseptics.
Hi, my name's Jay Miller, Dr. Jay Miller. I'm a veterinarian at Timbercrest Vet Service, helping Carrie Lynch talk about Clostridium tetani. Tetanus is the disease that is common in all mammals. It is the most susceptible animal that I deal with is usually horses, sheep, and goats. Cattle are also susceptible, with cat and dogs being the least susceptible to the infection. Clostridium tetani is the bacteria that is found everywhere in the environment. most of our animals live in outdoor world, and so they do get exposed to the bacteria. Horses are probably the most commonly vaccinated, along with sheep and goats being the second. I believe, with the development of the disease over the years, the horses and the sheep and the goat ranchers and farmers have been able to realize very quickly how to prevent it by vaccination. However, I tell you, the most common place we see it is in cattle, where we have from the castration sites of the males. And so those animals, we are educating our producers to vaccinate them to prevent the disease. However, the most common place we see it is the male cattle. The bacteria enters the womb. They form that wound can become anaerobic. The bacteria will multiply. The bacteria release the toxin. The toxin binds to the site where the nerve binds to the muscle, and then causes the channels to open, and so that muscle is in a constant contracted stage where it forms a tetani. And at that point, the animal is very rigid. Unfortunately, once the animal becomes rigid, they are usually found in a sawhorse stance, very stiff, or they're down and not able to rise. And unfortunately, at this point, the most common outcome is euthanasia, to the fact that there is no treatment at this point. The biggest thing to take home, tetanus is very preventable with the use of vaccination in all species, including humans. So we would encourage all of our producers to practice good preventative medicine by using vaccines.
Make sure you vaccinate your animals, your family, and yourself for tetanus so that your story can be a successful one like this one.